This is assignment 2 for current issues, and it's based on media and technology. We've got 4 criteria in the assignment. So we're looking at describing the influence of media and explaining the influence of media, and then describing and explaining the effects technology have had on selected sports. Within the media, we're going to focus it on football, and within technology, we'll focus it on tennis, just as we've done in the lessons. So if we scroll down, it asks you to create an article. We've got a template that you can download from Moodle to input into. What it requires you to do is to talk about, within the media, television, rule changes, times out, local and national press, and internet. So the sorts of things you might be talking about is television. Look at the split between subscription TV and Freeview TV, and how TV has an influence on football, and give specific examples. Likewise, similar with rule changes, how the media has had an influence on rule changes in football. So if you look at the 2010 example with the ghost goal, which Frank Lampard scored against Germany, the goal wasn't given. However, after that game, there was lots of pressure from the media on the FA and FIFA to change the rules and introduce goal line technology, which subsequently has happened and has now been introduced. And how did the media have an impact on the sport and the changes in rules there? Okay, and then you go through timeouts, local and national press, internet. Okay, then we go on to the article on technology. So on technology, you'll look at clothing, how clothing's changed in tennis and how it's had an impact on performance, how personal equipment such as tennis rackets have changed and an impact on the game in terms of speeding it up, larger sweet spot, etc. And maybe the materials they've used and how the rackets have become lighter. Cameras and what the changes are within the cameras and the angles and things that they can show, and how that's influenced and changed and affected the sport. And then the analysis equipment such as the Babolat Play, Hawkeye Innovate, hyperbaric chambers and the blood passports, and how that's had an influence and effect on the game of tennis. Right, so that's what the assignment asks you to do. If you go onto Moodle, okay, so we'll go onto Moodle and we'll scroll down to the current issues page. So nearly there. Here's the current issues page. If you go to the bottom here, you've got your brief here, which we just looked at. We've then got the template. Okay, so what we'll do is we will quickly open that template now. So here's the template, and all you have to do is you'll describe and explain the technology in tennis. So here we've got the Babolat Play and how. So first of all, just say what the Babolat Play is, and then talk about the effects on performance. So how has the Babolat Play had a positive and negative effect on performance in tennis? Likewise, you look at the racket and you go through the racket and you say how the changes in racket have had a positive and negative effect in tennis. Same with clothing, and the same with the others here, which we've covered in lesson. You then move down and you look at media and football. You look at television. Again, you explain what television in terms of coverage and the split between Freeview and subscription TV, and then you explain the effects that television have had on football. You go through each one of these and have a detailed account on them. Now, the kind of example and the level of work we're looking for looks a bit like so. So let me just get this up for you so you can see. So here's an example. So if I just enlarge this a minute. Okay, here's an example of my first bit on the Babolat Play. So I've said what the Babolat Play is, and then I've said the positive effects on the game, and then I've talked about some negative effects on the game of tennis. I'd then do the same with the racket, so I'd say the changes in the racket technology, then I'd say the positive and negative effects. Same with clothing, etc. Exactly the same with the media as I scroll down. So here, for instance, media influence on rule change. So I might talk about how the media has influenced the rule changes in football, which rules have been introduced because of it, and talk about the positive and negative effects of the media on rule changes in football. Okay, so for example, the positive effect is that it's introduced goal line technology. Now we get a clear decision on whether it's a goal or not a goal, and it's done quick and timely. However, the media have pushed for VAR, and the VAR is currently not working and has slowed down the game and had lots and lots of controversial moments. Also, what VIR is doing is it's potentially taking away the talking points for the fans and for the media. So it potentially takes away that kind of opinion-based element to the game, where people can share their ideas and thoughts on what happened, which is part of the beauty of the game, and people buy into it because of that. So that's a negative effect. That's pretty much the assignment. So if you go through that systematically and you produce some good standard work, similar to the level of work that I've done up here, which is the Babolat play, and you apply that kind of approach to the rest of them, then you'll be in with a good shout for getting a merit. But it does require you to engage in that and make sure that you get it down in detail. Hopefully your notes from lessons will support you in doing that.